I'm Jason UFC, and today we have a story about Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje 2 is scheduled to headline UFC 291 in Salt Lake City. The UFC is bringing back the BMF title, as it has been vacated when Jorge Masvidal retired. Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje will headline UFC 291 in a 5-round bout. The promotion president, UFC president Dana White, announced on Tuesday. UFC 291 will take place in Salt Lake City and will feature a co-headliner between UFC light heavyweight between former UFC light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz, who welcomed former UFC middleweight champion Alex Pereira to the UFC light heavyweight division. Also on the card has Paulo Costa returning against Ikram Aliskerov. I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly. Tony Ferguson, what? I thought he was in... Okay, never mind. Tony Ferguson battles Bobby Green. Is that in the welterweight or the lightweight division? That's interesting. That may be a lightweight fight. And Michael Chiesa takes on Kevin Holland. How about that? Poirier and Gaethje have angled for a rematch against one another in recent months. The two first fought at UFC on Fox in 2018 when Poirier defeated Gaethje by a 4th-round TKO in a Fight of the Year candidate. Since their meeting, Poirier is 6-2, including 2 wins over Conor McGregor and an interim win over Max Holloway, who was the featherweight, in the lightweight division. 2 losses, however, were championship losses against Khabib Nurmagomedov and Charles Oliveira. How about that? Justin Gaethje has the same record over that time of period with losses to the same 2 men? Really? How about that? Is that possible? That's interesting. So Poirier lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov for the championship and Charles Oliveira for the championship also. That's pretty cool. He defeated James Vick, Edson Barbosa, Donald Cerrone, Tony Ferguson, yada, yada, yada. In March, Gaethje defeated Rafael Fiziev. There's only been one other person to hold the BMF title in the history of UFC. Is when Masvidal defeated Nate Diaz. The promotion hasn't displayed public interest in reinstating the title in recent years, though the question was repeatedly asked. I know Dana White said, that because Jorge Masvidal retired, that, now we can put the title up. I've never heard anything like that before. Also on the card will be Derek Lewis versus De Lima, Wonderboy Thompson versus Michelle Pereira. How about that in the welterweight division? This UFC 291 card is unbelievably stacked, right? I know there's been a lot of questions about, hey, the UFC, what are they going to do for this summertime? It was getting a little bit worrisome. We didn't get the Conor McGregor fight versus Michael Chandler. We weren't going to get the John Jones fight versus Stipe Miocic. We weren't going to get Kobe Covington versus Leon Edwards. So people were just looking around like, hey, what, who else is going to fight? So this is going to be a good fight. Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje 2. It's going to be for the BMF title. It will be in a lightweight division, 155-pound division, I believe, right? I'm assuming it's going to be, even though the BMF title was first defended and, initiated in the welterweight division. I believe BMF just means BMF. It doesn't mean welterweight BMF or anything like that. So Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier, BMF title, 155 pounds. Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira. What happened to Ankalaev, right? Anybody know what happened to Ankalaev? Pereira was taking a few shots at Israel Adesanya recently, talking like he wanted to stay in the middleweight division. But this is interesting to see Alex Pereira come back before Israel Adesanya. Alex Pereira got knocked out viciously in the 2nd round, and he's coming back to go up in the weight class to fight a very dangerous former light heavyweight champion, Jan Blachowicz. I just want to know what happened to Ankalaev. Who's Ankalaev going to fight then? That's interesting. That's going to be that's basically, that could be close to a middle number one contenders fight right there. You know, I don't know what's happening with Jamal Hill. I'm a little bit surprised that Jamal Hill isn't not, you know, hasn't been booked for a fight yet. Maybe they're waiting for a Jamal Hill versus Yuri Prochazka maybe in like September. Maybe that fight happened for the undisputed light heavyweight championship. Paulo Costa middleweight versus Ikram Aliskerov. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Paulo Costa is ranked in the middleweight division, but I've never heard of I mean, I believe he just defeated someone recently. I can't remember who, but I know he defeated someone recently in the middleweight division. But I've never. I'm an MMA casual, so I don't really know too much of Ikram Aliskerov. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. But with Paulo Costa being booked, the big news is that he's not being booked versus Hamza Chimaev. What does that mean for Chimaev? Chimaev has recently been going back and forth with Kamaru Usman, so maybe the UFC is gonna make Kamaru Usman versus Chimaev in the welterweight division. Does that mean Chimaev is not in the middleweight division anymore? Right? Because I thought the fight that UFC was trying to make was Paulo Costa versus Hamza Chimaev in the middleweight division. We already saw Robert Whittaker get an opponent versus Dracus du Plessis. So who else would, Marvin Vettori is fighting Jared Cannonier. So there's really no opponents left for Hamza Chimaev. Or he could fight Brendan Allen. Maybe that's happening. I don't know. But Chimaev, we have to figure out what's happening there. Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green. I'm not going to even go into that one because both of them in their last few fights have had just craziness going on there, so I'm gonna just stay away from those two fighters. But yeah, a very, 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 very stacked card. I approve of this card. Every fight on this card is a banger. It's gonna be super exciting to watch. I can't wait for this event. I can't say which fight I'm looking forward to most here. I mean, obviously, Gaethje versus Poirier, but we already seen that fight, you know, almost 5 years ago. So that's going to be a great fight, very violent. But I would say if there is one fight I'm looking forward to most, would have to be Blachowicz versus Pereira in the light heavyweight division. Because if Pereira goes up there and just runs through Blachowicz, right, Pereira could be, you know, a light heavyweight #1 contender, right? You know, Pereira was talking a little bit about going as far as up to the heavyweight division. So we got to keep an eye on Pereira. This kid could be a serious problem, like running through all of these divisions. He was the middleweight champion, defeated Israel Adesanya. Now he's going up to the light heavyweight division. You know, if he defeats Jan Blachowicz, runs through Jan Blachowicz, gets a finish, this is only going to be a 3-round fight. So that's going to be very important for Pereira, but he's not going to be cutting weight down to the middleweight division anymore. And there was rumors that Pereira walked around at like 220 pounds. So he's going to be a problem in the light heavyweight division. That would be the fight I'm looking forward to most. But let me know your opinion about UFC 291. Which fight are you looking forward to most? I'm Jason, UFC. Today we had a story about Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. 2 will headline UFC 291 in Salt Lake City. 5-round main event for the BMF title. That fight will take place in the lightweight 155-pound UFC division. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button. And please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.